Tonight on Ctv3 News, Tropic Air pilot Howell Grange relieved from hospital after stabbing incident on hijacked Tropic Air flight. Belize faces loss of major U.S. development grant amid MCC shutdown. And the country continues to battle new world screwworm. Minister confirms ongoing efforts amidst regional crisis. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025.
Coming soon, Pro FC 16. Get ready for an electrifying night of combat sports as Pro FC takes over the Princess Vegas Hotel and Casino in Corazon on Saturday, May 17th, 2025. Witness 14 adrenaline-fueled fights featuring the fiercest competitors from Belize, Mexico, Canada, and Guatemala, all battling for glory and supremacy in the ring. Pro FC 16. Don't just watch the action, be part of it. Pro FC 16, exclusive on the Express Plus app.
Electricity is essential for everyday life, but behind every outlet, a lot is happening to bring you safe, reliable, and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. Belize Electricity Limited. We continue to serve you.
Have you seen Lori?
Check in at the White Lotus, where paradise turns into a playground for the privileged, and every sun-soaked moment is dripping with intrigue. Stream The
Have a
White
wonderful
Lotus
last day.
on HBO Max, available with Centaur.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. After 6 days in the hospital following a vicious attack that left him with 10 stab wounds, Tropic Air pilot Captain Howell Grange has been discharged from the Belize Healthcare Partners and is tonight resting at home. Belize Healthcare Partners this morning at 11:30. His very first stop was at the Divine Mercy Church, where amidst applauses and well wishes, he was wheeled out of the private clinic. But he did not go straight home to rest. His first stop was at the Divine Mercy Church, where he gave thanks for his miraculous survival. He told our colleagues at 7 News why it was important for him to make it to church first.
First, I have to ask you, how did that feel?
Really good. Really good.
Why was it so important to you to go straight to church?
To show the Belizean public that fear God, man, and thank him to give me the opportunity to be here again. I'd like to thank the Belizean public, home and abroad, my friends abroad, for all the communication, all the texts, the calls, overwhelmed. I had to come because only with him I couldn't do it.
You felt
It was really hard, trust me. Really, really hard. It wasn't an easy feeling. But I also like to take the time to thank Ashram, that are the only people I never thank on my post. And instead I forget that they took me to the hospital from the airport. That's why I'm still here.
you survived the impossible.
I think so. There's a God. There is, trust me. There is. It wasn't an easy feeling.
As mentioned previously, a terrifying ordeal unfolded on Holy Thursday over Belize, leaving 3 people injured and 1 passenger dead after a hijacking attempt on a Tropic Air flight. Akinyela Sawa Taylor, a 49-year-old American man and father of 4, was shot to the chest and killed after he hijacked a small plane and stabbed 3 people on board, including Grange businessman Fitzgerald Brown and Jair Castaneda, a Tropic Air employee. According to investigators, Taylor had arrived in Belize just 9 days prior to the attack, sparking a series of disturbing incidents. On April 9th, he attempted to board a United Airlines flight at the Philip Golson International Airport without a ticket, prompting security to intervene and remove him. 3 days later, he was denied entry into Mexico at the Santa Elena border and subsequently refused re-entry into Belize. Taylor says troubles continued when he was confronted by Corozal police and Free Zone security on April 12th, during which he allegedly assaulted a police officer. Despite being initially detained, he was later released. It remains unclear how Taylor boarded a Tropic Air flight from Ranchito Airstrip on Thursday, armed with a knife. The incident has seen the implementation of highlighted security and strict protocols at all municipal airstrips. Since detecting its first case of the New World screwworm in late 2024, Belize currently has close to 60 confirmed cases of the infection reported thus far. This level of infection, according to Minister of Agriculture Honorable Hosemai, has been kept at a minimum due to ongoing efforts from agricultural stakeholders who are working around the clock with farmers from across the country. As the situation continues to deteriorate in other parts of the region, Minister Mai today confirmed that Belize will join agriculture experts from other countries later this week for a regional meeting to discuss the way forward as eradication efforts continue.
Belize was the last country to get infected with the screwworm cases. Our first case was on 27th of December 2024. To date, we have, I think, a little above 50 or so cases of screwworms. Mexico was infected 5 weeks before Belize, but they have close to 600 cases in Mexico. So we are doing a good job in trying to contain the spread of screwworms across the country. Also important to note that Belize is, I think, the only country that has not been dispersed with cereal flies. The cereal flies belong to the U.S. government. For some reason or other, they refuse to disperse sterile flies over Belize. So while we have no sterile flies, we have all manpower on the ground. We have done a wonderful job in trying to contain the spread of the screwworms. We meet in El Salvador on Saturday to discuss the plan, regional plan for screwworms. We have a huge budget for the region, which will include all Central American countries to try to eradicate screwworm once again from Mexico all the way up to, I think, Panama again. This is the second time in 30 years that we're doing this eradication program.
Despite not having any sterile flies in Belize at this time, Minister Mai says the ministry continues to work together with its partners to ensure that this infection can be effectively removed from Belize's cattle industry in short order.
Yeah, we have Baja, who's at the front of the control. We have the Ministry of Agriculture support. We have Orisa. We have ICA. We have even the Ministry of Health. All stakeholders trying to help to contain. But on the ground, we have Baja personnel along with, BLPA too. Baja, BLPA, Ministry of Agriculture, Orisa, ICA. Everybody's on the ground trying to contain screwworms. We have strict protocols that we are following when we find a case, and we are adhering to that. However, I will say to you that reaching a point where resources are getting scarce, one, the human factor, people are getting tired, and so we can't do it alone. The element which is missing is the sterile flies, and so far we do not have sterile flies yet dispersed in Belize. we are putting a plan in place which Mexico and Belize will be participating together to get sterile flies. But up to now, no sterile flies have been approved for Belize itself.
Following the elections in March of this year, Prime Minister John Briceño announced his decision to have the sugar industry removed from within the Ministry of Agriculture and reassigned under his ministry. Now, under the Ministry of the Prime Minister, the day-to-day operations of the sugar industry falls under the Minister of State, Honorable Osmond Martinez. At the time, Prime Minister John Briceño cited the reasons for his decision as an attempt to save the industry, which is currently facing serious issues, and an emergency meeting held with the leadership of ASR, where concerns were also cited about the management of the industry. Since that decision was taken, there have been mixed reactions shared in the public domain. However, today, when the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Hossamai, spoke on this matter for the first time since it was announced, he stated that his hope is that the industry can strive under its new leadership.
Well, I don't know what the concerns are. That was discussed with the Prime Minister in the States. I just like you, I knew of that visit after the fact. About the responsibility of sugar industry being removed from Ministry of Agriculture portfolio, which is the substantive minister. How do I see that? One, for ASR, I believe they will view it as a victory for them. For the farmer, they view it as treason, probably. Jules calls it a humiliation and demotion. I see it as a way for another person to do something different. Is it going to work? I don't know. I think this is the worst time in the history that we are facing Fusarium disease, among other things, including climate change.
And while he admits that the industry is currently navigating in turbulent waters due to various reasons, Minister Mai says the decision may have been taken as a victory by ASR, who, despite the challenges facing the industry, enjoy many benefits as a multinational.
ASR has a lot of benefits, and I can list them one by one. First, they have benefited tremendously from concessions in this country. I think it was 30 years concession or a little bit less, which included environmental tax, which nobody else has in this country. They have benefited for many years from the fuel subsidy, which in my view I consider double dipping, because you get a concession, then you get fuel subsidy. In my view, fuel subsidy is for the small farmers who do not benefit from all the duty exemptions, and for them to try to get the cost low and maximize on the little that's left. They have benefited from, I would say, a monopoly on the U.S. sugar market, because only them in Belize can sell on that market. Santander has tried tapping into that market and they have not successful. They have benefited also from the monopoly on the local market, which is the second best paying market. They have not, again, Santander has tried getting to the market unsuccessfully. They have benefited from the farmers paying 65% of some of their cost. We all know that's a big problem. And so what emergency could it be if you are unable to survive economically with all those benefits as a multinational company? I don't know how you could survive, especially in a time when, if you look on the market trend, and you can Google it, and I think I've heard other stakeholders say that this is one of the highest prices sugar has been paid in many years. So if you have an emergency when the price of this commodity is at the highest, and you have so many benefits in the last 30 years, then something is terribly wrong with the way you manage. Maybe what should be the option? If you can't survive with all these, maybe then do something else.
In the end, however, Mike says that the Ministry of Agriculture was not responsible for those concerns shared in private between ASR and the Prime Minister.
Nothing that we have done in the Ministry of Agriculture have caused them to have an emergency. Nothing that the government has done has caused them an emergency. A standoff for 3 days with the cane farmers won't cause them to be in such an emergency state. So I don't know what, and I was not privy to all the discussions or to any discussion that they had in Florida. But this is a very difficult time for the cane farmers, I'm telling you. The production seems to be 30% less this year. And so I wish they could solve their problems. I wish they could work together with the cane farmers. But I find it very difficult. And I hope that they could find some way out of the emergency that they have, so if they have one. So I'm a little confused, you know, what could be the emergency, and I don't know what can the government do to solve their problem.
While he is no longer at the helms of the sugar industry, Minister Mai says he hopes to see real change within the industry that will benefit all stakeholders equally.
I think what should be very important is for the Commission of Inquiry to be the results of that. The Commission of Inquiry needs to be aerated, needs to be discussed, and to see what is in there that can help the industry come back. I wouldn't want to see that the sugar industry crumbles under PUP government. That is not what we expect it to be. We want the industry to survive. Clearly, there has to be changes. There has to be some serious changes in the industry. And if those changes are not done, we won't survive. And the changes have to come from the farm up to manufacturing. That is why the Prime Minister commissioned an inquiry to see where the weaknesses are and see what we can do to fix it, including the legislation. That is the first thing we need to look at. The Commission of Inquiry recommends, I think, legislation. Legislation that will not, it has to be fair, right? It cannot be legislation that violates the rights of either party. So again, there is a lot of work to be done. We stand by if we are called upon to assist. I am still the air representative for close to 800 cane farmers. As a matter of fact, Orange Rock South is the biggest sugarcane farm producing constituency in Orange Rock. Only San Lazaro, York Creek, and Guinea Grass, with those three, we have the biggest area under production of sugarcane. And so the fact that I'm not the minister responsible for sugarcane does not keep me silent, none at all, on sugarcane matters. Absolutely not. That will not happen. Right? I will still be a voice for the cane farmers. I will be a voice for the corn grain growers. I'll be a voice for the livestock producers, and I'll be a voice for all other farmers in this country. That is what I was elected, that's what I was appointed to do, to look after the interests of all the farmers, including new products that come online. And that is exactly what I plan to do. So the fact that I'm not the minister responsible for sugar industry, right, does not mute me on this particular matter.
Now, while he is no longer at the helms of the sugar industry, Minister Mai says he hopes to see real change within the industry that will benefit all stakeholders equally.
I think what should be very important is for the Commission of Inquiry to be the results of that. The Commission of Inquiry needs to be aerated, needs to be discussed, and to see what is in there that can help the industry come back.
Coming up next, cattle farmers in Belize embrace corn silage training to boost livestock resilience amid climate change. Stay tuned.
Coming soon, Pro FC 16. Get ready for an electrifying night of combat sports as Pro FC takes over the Princess Vegas Hotel and Casino in Corazon on Saturday, May 17th, 2025. Witness 14 adrenaline-fueled fights featuring the fiercest competitors from Belize, Mexico, Canada, and Guatemala, all battling for glory and supremacy in the ring. Pro FC 16. Don't just watch the action, be part of it. Pro FC 16, exclusive on the Express Plus app.
Attention after dehorning, ear tagging, or any other practice that leaves wounds on your animals to ensure your animal's well-being. If you notice worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baja at 824-4872 or text or WhatsApp 670-7003 or call your nearest Ministry of Agriculture office. And don't forget, never transport or receive animals with injuries. Together, we will prevent the spread of this dangerous disease. This message was brought to you by Baja, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise.
In a significant setback for Belize, the government is poised to lose access to a vital 5-year, $125 million development grant from the United States. This follows the unexpected decision by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to shut down the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, a key agency responsible for U.S. foreign aid. The MCC had entered into a grant agreement with Belize just 7 months ago in September 2024, heralding a historic investment aimed at bolstering the country's education and energy sectors. The agreement was officially signed by Prime Minister John Briceño and MCC CEO Alice Albright, with the event attended by notable figures including former U.S. Ambassador to Belize Michelle Kwan and Minister of State Christopher Koyi. The abrupt closure of the MCC cast uncertainty over the Belize Compact, a pivotal initiative designed to implement transformative projects intended to enhance educational access and reduce electricity costs. The newly established agency, Millennium Challenge Account Belize, was slated to commence project execution in 2025, but those plans are now jeopardized. An internal email circulated among MCC staff this week revealed that the agency's 320 employees have been given options for early retirement or deferred resignations, and operations are set to be completely wound down within 90 days. Furthermore, DOGE is expected to present a resolution next week to officially terminate all MCC global grant programs, impacting a total of 20 countries with over $5.4 billion in active funding. This closure is part of a broader initiative spearheaded by the Trump administration and DOGE head Elon Musk to dismantle certain government agencies. The last time Prime Minister John Briceño spoke about the funding was in March of this year, where he was still hopeful that the agreement would go through. At the same time, he indicated whether a possible project cancellation would negatively impact the government's plan.
Everything is on pause. Remember, the U.S. government put all of that on pause, and they're reviewing it. USAID is a big one that was on TV worldwide, and so MCC is just one of them. And it is on pause for the time being. When we speak with the officials, the American here at the U.S. Embassy, they're saying that they are very hopeful that it will proceed, and so do I. I do believe that they will proceed with it once the dust settle down. It's funding that we can use because we were looking at how we can realign the educational system, which something that Minister Fonseca had already started, that the educational system can align itself with the economy so that our young people can be, that they could be better prepared for the economy of the future, working with the teachers and training and so forth. But it was, so in that sense, yes, but no, because we were not depending on that money to run the ministry. So we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Cattle farmers from across the north engage in a one-day extensive training workshop on the creation of corn silage to use as feed within the cattle industry. If done right, corn silage can play a crucial role in the cattle industry in Belize, especially as a way to enhance livestock productivity and resilience to climate change. The creation of corn silage can be used as a forage conservation strategy, ensuring a reliable food source for cattle, particularly during dry periods or when pastures are limited. Today's session was facilitated by a group of experts from Mexico and was focused on information and also field demonstration. Today's training session, according to Minister of Agriculture Honorable Jose Mai, seeks to prepare the cattle industry for the unrelenting effects of climate change, which, like in many other areas, threatens the security of the industry.
Yeah, we are preparing the farmers to face the long dry season. Climate change is having a toll on the agriculture sector, on the crops and on livestock. This year, last year, rather, we saw a lot of rainfall that did a lot of damage to the forage, to the pastures. Immediately after we have the dry weather coming in, and now the grass didn't even recover, and we are facing excessive dry conditions. So there's a lot of losses expected when it comes to weight loss from the animals. It is clear that climate change is real and it is affecting the productive sector, in this case the livestock producers. So what we are doing is preparing the farmers, teaching them about silage, teaching them about alternative ways of feeding animals. We invited some experts from Campeche who have much experience and knowledge in alternative feeding systems, and so they are sharing today with producers what can be done. One of the alternatives is preparing silage for the animals. There is corn that is a special variety which is used to make silage. Silage is the corn is harvested, it's cut, it's milled, it's mixed with molasses, and it is subjected to anaerobic respiration, where they have the animals that they feed on, and that the animals gain weight very fast. So that's one way. The second way is to grow your grass.
Adapting the technology currently being used by our neighbors in the north as it relates to the usage of corn silage as an alternative source of nutrition in times of need lends a host of benefits for the industry on a whole in Belize.
Hablando en términos de beneficios, hay muchos. Algo de lo que platicamos ahí con los productores, principalmente cuando viene la temporada de estiaje, algo que pasa en todos los trópicos de Centroamérica, en Latinoamérica, es el productor que no está preparado con comida, empieza a tener pérdidas, todo es pérdida, ¿sí? Ya sea pérdida de peso en animales, algunos compañeros ahorita en la sesión comentaban que tienen que deshacerse de animales, venderlos antes de que el estiaje o la sequía acabe con la vida de los animales. Entonces, desde ahí, cuando tú te preparas con un ensilaje de maíz, con estas técnicas que venimos a platicar y a compartir, pues tú reduces esas mermas, esas pérdidas en el rancho. Si bien el rancho hay que verlo como una empresa ganadera, pues obviamente con el uso de estas técnicas, estas inversiones que el ganadero hace, cuando hay abundancia de agua para prepararse para los momentos difíciles, brindan muchos beneficios. De entre ellos es, de entrada, para la temporada difícil no me bajan de peso los animales, no me baja de condición corporal el ganado, que es importantísima el tema si hablamos de condición corporal, porque de ahí parte el tema de la productividad, sobre todo en las hembras. Una vaca que no tiene muy buena condición corporal, que es por ende lo que tiene, pues no va a tener, no va a entrar en preñez, ¿sí? Y desde ahí el rancho, aunque no lo vemos tangible, pues está perdiendo recursos. Entonces, eso es uno de los beneficios, aunado, ya te comentaba, a las muertes. ¿Qué pasa cuando yo tengo un animal nutrido en muy buena condición corporal? Empieza a haber o incremento mi porcentaje de parición. Si bien es cierto, toda la ganadería tropical, no solamente hablando de Belice, sino en el largo de países que presenta la ganadería tropical, tenemos muy bajos porcentajes de parición. Se habla de que andamos entre el 42 a 52% de porcentajes de pariciones en el rancho. ¿Qué quiere decir? Que de cada 100 animales, de cada 100 vacas que tenemos en un rancho o en una región, pues nos están pariendo alrededor de 40 a 50 animales. Entonces son porcentajes muy bajos que con el uso de estas tecnologías, tener muy buena alimentación en el ganado, podemos incrementar la producción hasta en un 30%.
With Belize's cattle industry on the right track to ensure the growth of the industry through genetic improvement, the next step, according to agronomist Ernesto Gerber, is ensuring proper nutrition for animals year-round.
¿Qué es lo que pasa cuando el ganadero, otro de los beneficios, qué es lo que pasa cuando empieza a hacer este tipo de técnicas? Ellos empiezan a tener un ahorro en su bolsillo. Si bien es cierto, en esta temporada que estamos atravesando de sequía o de estiaje, ellos salen a las forrajeras, salen a los campos a buscar rastrojos de caña, a buscar caña de azúcar, que es lo que comúnmente se utiliza por aquí, pacas de algún tipo de pasto. Entonces, todos esos subproductos tienen un costo. Cuando nosotros empezamos en el rancho a utilizar estas técnicas, estamos ahorrando al menos el 50% en el costo de la alimentación al ganado. Entonces, es uno de los beneficios que pues, al ámbito ganadero pues, le favorece. Entonces, ¿con eso qué logras? Independientemente del beneficio del ganado en sí, pues logras que las familias tengan una mayor entrada del recurso, logras un bienestar social para la comunidad. Entonces son partes de las que se han estado pues atacando. Y algo que también vivimos en la actualidad es que año con año, por el tema del cambio climático que lo vivimos en carne propia, ¿qué es lo que pasa? El ganadero se tiene que deshacer de animales, de vacas, sobre todo el tema central, el tema que le da de comer a un rancho, son las vacas, las reproductoras. Entonces, si yo no tengo suficiente comida, ¿qué voy a hacer? Bajar mi hato ganadero o deshacerme de ella. Entonces, lo que pasa es que estamos pasando actualmente por un momento donde hay déficit de ganado. Si no tenemos muy buenas vacas, si no tenemos muy buena producción, ¿qué es lo que pasa? La ganadería va a ir en decadencia. Necesitamos tener muy buenas técnicas, no tan solo de alimentación, porque son varias cosas en conjunto, sin embargo, poner foco a eso. Y creo yo que el foco de todos los países, en todos los gobiernos, es también cómo incrementan ese hato ganadero. Entonces, parte del pilar fundamental que necesitamos tener para incrementar un gato ganadero, para incrementar el inventario ganadero de cada país, pues es enfocarnos en las reproductoras. Y qué mejor con tener reproductoras con mejor calidad de alimentación.
This new technology, according to Rembel Saron, a small farmer from U Creek Village, has the potential to greatly benefit the industry in more ways than one.
Bien interesante. Actualmente hemos tenido problemas con pastos, ¿no? De lo que actualmente ellos vinieron a hablar sobre el silo de maíz. Bien importante, gracias al ministerio que nos ayuda con esto. Y los aporta información, los aporta bastante conocimiento por medio de los muchachos, ¿no? Los mexicanos que trajeron, los agrónomos mexicanos. Bien importante porque especialmente en lo que se trata del silo de maíz, ¿me entiendes? Es algo que nosotros acá no lo practicamos, no lo tenemos, pero ya estamos aprendiendo de ellos, ¿no? Del conocimiento que ellos tienen, cómo lo hacen. Y nosotros hemos traído diferentes tipos, pero nunca que ver con lo que es el silo, ¿me entiendes? De maíz específicamente. Tal vez hemos traído otras cosas, ¿no? Como bastantes compañeros mencionaron sobre de la picada de caña, porque como somos cañeros en esta área, entonces dependemos bastante de la caña. Hay cañales que se queman, vas, los cortas y se lo tiras a tu ganado, ¿me entiendes? Pero ya esto ya es otro nivel, ya esto ya es maíz que tú tienes que sembrar, tienes que como dicen bastantes, ¿no? De que primero tienes que ser agricultor para que seas ganadero.
De lo que todo se ha discutido, ¿piensa usted que esta tecnología es algo que como agricultor pequeño puede usted adoptar?
Claro que sí, es bien adoptable porque lo podemos aplicar en medidas pequeñas, como la cosa de bolsas, hacer los hilos en bolsas, hacer los hilos en tambos, ¿me entiendes? Porque la mayoría de nosotros que venimos de acá somos ganaderos pequeños, ¿me entiendes? Ganaderos tal vez 100 cabezas, 50 cabezas, 80 cabezas, 100, tal vez máximo 100. Entonces lo podemos hacer pequeño, porque ya al hacer cosas grandes como el silo ¿cómo lo menciona? En grande, tienen unos silos grandes en pastel, que él dice, y eso ya es como para más agricultores grandes, tal vez que tienen lecherías o cosas así, ¿no? que dependen de eso.
The National Student Union of Belize, NSUB, is calling for urgent action and a comprehensive investigation regarding allegations of sexual harassment made against Dr. Piyosaki, an assistant professor at the University of Belize UB and president of the University of Belize Faculty and Staff Union, UBFSU. Dr. Saki has been placed on administrative leave as the university conducts its inquiry. UB has maintained records of complaints against Dr. Saki, with the most recent allegations surfacing on April 8. 4 students have come forward accusing him of engaging in an unwanted touching, making inappropriate sexual remarks, asking invasive questions, and maintaining persistent physical contact despite the students' visible discomfort and objections. In a statement released by the NSUB, the organization expressed its unwavering condemnation of all forms of sexual harassment and misconduct. They voiced strong support for the students who have brought forth their claims, some of which span over a decade, describing the allegations as deeply concerning. The NSUB insisted on a thorough and transparent response from the university. We urge UB to ensure that this process adheres to the principles of fairness, impartiality, and accountability. The statement emphasized referencing the university's student handbook and the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 2024. The union has also called for measures to protect students from any potential retaliation, as well as to provide mental health support during the ongoing investigation. The NSUB concluded by pledging to closely monitor the situation and reaffirming its commitment to prioritizing student safety. And here is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Hola, ¿estás en tu teléfono móvil ahora mismo navegando las redes sociales? Hola, ¿estás en tu teléfono móvil ahora mismo navegando las redes sociales, escuchando la radio o viendo televisión? ¿Alguna vez te has detenido a pensar qué es lo que le da energía a mi dispositivo? La electricidad es esencial para nuestra vida diaria, dando energía a nuestros hogares, negocios, transporte y por supuesto esa serie que no puedes dejar de ver. Pero, ¿cómo funciona todo esto? En esta temporada de Watts and Whys of Energy, te llevamos detrás de cámaras, hablando con nuestros expertos y trayéndote novedades y respuestas a tus preguntas más importantes sobre la energía. Mi nombre es Emanuel Pech y te invito a acompañarnos en vivo por Facebook y prepárate para ver la energía desde una nueva perspectiva. Dale like, comparte y síguenos para ser parte de la conversación.
Belize Electricity Limited, providing you safe and reliable power when you need it.
Have you seen Lori?
Check in at the White Lotus, where paradise turns into a playground for the privileged, and every sun-soaked moment is dripping with intrigue. Stream The
Have a
White
wonderful
Lotus
last day.
on HBO Max, available with Centaur.
The 2024-2025 sugarcane crop season is currently in its 16th week of grinding, which means that the season is more than halfway through. Since the start of this crop season, the industry has been faced with a number of setbacks, including bad weather conditions, as well as pests which have been affecting sugar plantations. Despite these challenges, however, the industry continues its production cycle, and so far, over 533,000 tons of cane have been ground to produce a total of 44,289 tons of sugar. Now, while improvements have been observed since the start of the crop season in terms of the quality of cane being delivered to the mill, representatives of BSI-ASR today shared that the industry is still not where it needs to be, as it currently looking at a TCTS of 12.2. The overall low quality of cane being delivered to the mill, according to BSI, will undoubtedly play a major role in the overall payment farmers will receive at the end of the crop season.
Currently, we don't know exactly how we will end the crop season. We were hoping that we are able to get more around 10 TCTS, and so the cane price estimates are around there, 10, 11 TCTS, not 12. And so we're going to issue another cane price estimate by the end of this month, and that will have reflected some of those changes already. But we definitely want to keep an eye on the quality. Right. And the farmers share with us as well, one of the things that they were sharing last week was training. Sometimes the operators of the grubbers are not well trained to really do a good job. And so that's some of the things that we were discussing that they will go out and do. The real work here is how do we find what the exact problem is so that we can really solve it together. And one of those things really is the labor shortage, because we have, as I said earlier, 95 hours of out of cane, and that is really high compared to the factory lost time, for example, is at 90 hours. So it's about 3% factory lost time and 3.4% out of cane lost time. For weather, we have it separate. For weather, we have 340 something hours of lost time. But what does out of cane mean? Out of cane means that the factory has to stop because there is not enough cane coming in. And this could be, this is related specifically to either cane cutters not bringing in or not supplying enough for the harvesting group leaders to bring in, or coordination issues. Weather is calculated separately or is reported separately. And so that 95 hours of cane of lost time due to cane out of cane supply is really high. Right.
The low quality of cane being delivered to the mill, according to Cane Farmer Relations Manager for BSI-ASR, Olivia Aviles, is also being exasperated by the harvesting practices by many farmers.
Mud content, and so the mud content is high, has been high since the crop started, higher than normal, 5% mud content. We are usually around 4 to 5% mud content, and that takes away from the amount that can be produced. But also mud in the factory is like sandpaper going through the equipment, and for BSI, dealing with the mud is a lot. It depletes or really corrodes the equipment. It's challenging to make the sugar, and of course we also have a parameter called reducing sugars. That becomes a real nightmare when we have high reducing sugars. And right now, when we are going into the real hot season, where we start experiencing those, and that is when the cane has been burnt too long. So the cane kill to mill time should be around 24 hours, and kill to mill means they burn the cane or they cut the cane and they need to take it to the mill within 24 hours. So that's kill to mill. And that time really should be around 24 hours. Once it passes that time, if a cane field is burnt, for example, when it shouldn't have been burnt, and they're waiting 2-3 days to get that in, then the sugars that were supposed to be converted into real sugar starts to reduce or starts to break down, and that's the smell, the fermentation smell. And that really is a quality parameter that we really don't enjoy at the factory, because it makes the syrup and the processing really viscous or thick.
Reiterating the words of the Sugar Industry Control Board earlier this month about the need to transition the industry to payment for farmers based on individual quality, the millers today also shared the need for the system to be put in place if the industry is to survive.
I think, core sampler is a scary word, but we need something that will, definitely calibrate the quality of cane on an individual basis. So whatever name you use, we need something, a machine that will determine the quality on an individual basis, and reward those who do the right things, and and I don't want to say punish, but I think reward is an important thing, because we're on a relative quality, right? But we need to get to true quality, where you are paid based on the quality, and you determine that, how much investment you're going to put, whether you're going to do the right things from land preparation right through to harvesting and delivery, because that's
because unless we give Peter
to harvesting and delivery, because that's critical factors as well. So I think we have to get to that point. Every other industry, sugar industry, anywhere else in the world does that. We're still lagging behind in that regard.
Because unless we give Peter what belongs to Peter and Paul what belongs to Paul, then we will never be able to fix some of the issues happening within the groups, right? Because the key driver to the cane quality in this case is the time of burning, when they are burning, and if you burn way ahead of time as a group, you already started on the wrong foot. And then how you cut that cane, how you harvest that cane. So it's all things that we as human beings, as leaders of the group, can control.
Another major challenge facing the industry, according to BSI-ESR, is the unavailability of sufficient cane to maintain a steady milling rate in the factory. This, according to Aviles, is in part due to shortage of labor.
Number of things. I think there's a shortage. The minimum wage went up, so the salary went up with that, and cane cutters demanded that, of course. And a lot of the times the cane cutters have other jobs as well. Remember, they only work 6 months of the year, and so if they have another job that they can go to that's less strenuous, of course they will go to that, right? We do know that cane cutters are also, some of them are also fishermen or fisher folks, and so they go out after Easter, so we're going to see the issue even more. And what is the solution there, Kami, is we have to, as an industry, go to mechanized, mechanical harvesting. We have to modernize. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how we bring in the digital technology into the industry, which is very exciting.
Moving to mechanical harvesting, according to Aviles, would greatly improve the quality of cane being delivered to the mill, while also solving the issue of labor. Despite the benefits of the program being offered, however, farmers are still skeptical about a full transition.
Is that, you have different fields, but you want to make them contiguous, meaning you encourage farmers, if they're neighbors, to plant in the same direction, to do certain things together, so that it's not necessarily that you're cutting out any farmer, right? But you're trying to encourage them to think more like a cooperative, kind of, to see how you can work together to really benefit each other. And that's work that is critical for the associations, but it's equally important for the industry, right? There's a lot of transformation, and we know that with the Commission of Inquiry and everything that has happened, and the move to a singular sugar ministry are key parts of what we need to do, because we have to start thinking differently about everything that we're doing if we're going to remain competitive. Within CARICOM, we have a good market, and we're at
For farmers who are ready to improve the way they harvest their crops, BSI ASR also has an ongoing mechanical harvesting program which farmers can take full advantage of.
For BSI, we do our recruitment during the off-crop season so that we inspect the cane.
Okay.
The other groups, the 11 harvesting groups that have harvesters, I'm not sure if they are giving services, but we do hear some have assisted. For example, over the weekend when there was an accidental fire, one of the mechanical harvesters, independent ones, was able to bring that in. But the process for us is during the off-crop season, they sign up with us. We go inspect their cane fields. Once their cane fields are adequate for mechanical harvesting, meaning they don't have lots of stones and stumps, and it has good production and long rows, then we're able to bring them in and make a plan. It's very critical that we have a plan for harvesting it. We sign a contract with the farmer because we are making a compromise, a commitment to cut that cane. And so if we don't bring that cane in, then it's an issue. So what we do at BSI is that we start the crop with the cane that is for BSI. We bring all of that, we try to bring some of that in. Then during the dry season, in the middle of the crop, we bring in all the farmers one, and then we end up with what's left for BSI. We still harvest during the crop some of the BSI cane because we have quite a bit of that. But yes, definitely, the farmers can reach out to us. We have a hotline. I'll share it in a bit, and we can harvest that cane. But it's so important that they come to us during the off-crop season so that we're able to do some of those inspections. We have something called the emergency contracts, which are those farmers who have an emergency due to a large fire, or their harvesting groups were unable to cut the cane. But at that point, it's more expensive, and we have to check the fields well, and we cannot guarantee that we're going to be able to cut that cane.
A GoFundMe campaign has been set up to assist the family of Chito Martinez, the first and only Major League Baseball player born in Belize, following his death on Sunday, the 28th of April, at the age of 59. Martinez, born Reynaldo Ignacio Martinez, passed away in Lake Cormorant, Mississippi, reportedly due to a heart attack. His death marks the loss of a pioneering figure in Belizean sports history and a former member of the Orioles roster. The Belizean-born athlete, who immigrated to New Orleans with his family as a child, was drafted by the Kansas City Royals in the 6th round of the 1984 MLB draft. However, it was with the Baltimore Orioles that he made his mark in the majors, debuting in 1991 and setting a record as the first Orioles player to hit safely in each of the first 6 games. Across 3 seasons with Baltimore, he totaled 18 home runs, 58 RBIs, and a .259 battling average over 158 games. In recent weeks, a GoFundMe page had been launched to support Martinez's family following a series of hospitalizations, underscoring the challenges he faced in his final days. His passing has prompted an outpouring of condolences from fans, teammates, and members of the baseball community, all recognizing the legacy he leaves behind. Martinez's brother, Robbie, reflected on the impact Chito had not just on the sport but also on those around him. He introduced me to the sport and taught me invaluable lessons about life, Robbie told Crescent City Sports. As Belize's lone representative in Major League Baseball, Martinez's achievements remain an inspiration to aspiring players from his homeland. His contributions to the game and his influence beyond the diamond will be remembered with deep respect and admiration. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, April 24th here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.